Hello everyone, this is Digit D, and I got a Crash Bandicoot N-Sane Trilogy review for you guys. It's it's a fun game. It came out for the PlayStation a very long time ago. It was one of the games that I started playing as a kid. You can play it on all the consoles and on PC, which is pretty darn cool. The game is usually valued at $40, but there's a thing where the price is a little bit lower since it's been out for a very long time. So this is my in-depth review of Crash Bandicoot N-Sane Trilogy. This is for my review for Crash Bandicoot N-Sane Trilogy. So I really do hope you guys like this in-depth review of the entire game. You get 3 games for the price of 1, which is actually really nice. You get Crash Bandicoot 1, you get Crash Bandicoot 2, and you get Crash Bandicoot 3. With those 3 games, they're full-blown games, and you can play them, enjoy them as much as you want. So, let's just hop into it. I'm going to talk more about a certain thing called story. There's not really much of a story. You're mostly the protagonist, either Crash or Coco, and you go through and beat Dr. Neo Cortex. That's basically the gist of it all. So that's basically what you're doing. There we go. So that's what you're basically doing. You are the hero, Crash or Coco. So with the old one, they did allow you to play with Coco, but in this one, you get to play with Coco. So I'm going to be going over what the game is and whatever you have and stuff like that. So let's talk about the story. Since I already think I said story like not even a minute ago, but the storyline of the game is you get to point A, point B, straight line. Actually, there's no straight line. You do a lot of stuff. Uh, you got to collect, either beat the stages on the first one. The first one is just beating the stages. That's basically is on the first one. On the first one. The second one, in Crash Bandicoot 2, you have to collect 25 crystals, and then once you complete the 25 crystals, you end up fighting Neo Cortex or trying to do something with him. Or in number 3, you have to collect the gems and collect the crystals. But you can collect the gems. Gems started way before crystals did. So you can do gems. You can collect all the gems. If you collect all the gems, you get a secret ending in this one. And then you can or you get the normal ending. Then in number 2, you get all of the gems. You still get the secret ending also. And then I think if you get all the time relics, there's a time relic ending also with that. And then the same for the third one. There's a time relic and a gem and a normal thing. So I mostly got 100% for all 3 of these games first, so I can actually play and so you guys can see how it actually is and everything else. But like I said, the story, there's not really much of a story here. You're mostly just trying to beat Dr. Neo Cortex in number 2. You're trying to beat Dr. Neo Cortex in number 2. And then at the end of number 2, spoilers, you do release Uka Uka, which is Buka Buka's brother or twin brother that you end up releasing. He's the dark side of the main of Buka Buka. So since they're twins, one's good, one's evil. And then with that, you play and then as with that, you get one thing. One's dark, one's evil, so the dark side helps out Dr. Neo Cortex, and that's where he stays, and everything else goes through the game. So let me show you guys. So there's not really much really to talk about for storyline. I thought there'd be a little bit more, but there isn't really much I can talk to you guys about much for story, really, because there's no story elements. They don't really talk to each other. They just make noise. They make spin noises and stuff like that. So now you just saw my save. So I got 102%. So I'm going to talk more about the graphics of the game. The graphics for the old graphics, they didn't look great. They were block polys. They're like blocks, and you can see the triangles within the first character's faces. But now you can see how the overall it looks, where the graphics are highly detailed, the colors and everything else. So let me give you example of what the stages look like. Like, so this is the stage of the very first one. I'm going to show you what the graphics entail in this game. So you can see how Crash looks when they did that up close in person look of Crash. It looks very nice. He looks very clean. It's a little bit different. It looks pretty cool. Then you get to see what the items look like, how much it is. The HUD of the screen is pretty good too. You can see that they actually put detail into making the stages and everything else for the game. So with that, they did that. They put style, they put the colors, they got the stages looking like they wanted to for certain stages. So certain stages you will get a feel for it. I just died because I wanted to die. This game is not that hard. Some people say certain things are harder, but you can see how the enemies are high poly, how they got everything on the graphics thing looks. The crabs they look good. They even have fake Crash. They even have fake Crash modeled right here. That's fake Crash. You can get him in a Crash Team Racing in that game, and you get to see how high poly he is. He's supposed to be like the evil Crash, but he's actually just fake Crash. So here's a little showing of fake Crash. That's his real name, is fake Crash, and everything else. Once you have all three Boomikas, you get a special power-up in this game, which is pretty cool. So you get to see the animations, the music, and everything is done with this very well. Also, the stage animation is pretty cool and everything else, which is actually really nice. The graphics wise, but this is just for number one. Let me show you the graphics for number two, because they kept the graphics like it is now, but with the graphics from number one and number two, they upped those graphics. So it's like, oh, I missed 20 boxes, but I already got the gems. I already got all the gems. I just didn't get all the relics for this. That's it. But now you get to see that's one stage out of all the other stages that they have. Like to the Stormy Ascent. It's a secret download. It's a secret stage that is free to play with the game, I think. And it's one of the hardest stages there is. I still beat it. It took a long time because I still had to get the gem for the darn stage. The stage was hard. I mean hard. And the graphics for it, you can see that you're climbing up a castle and it's raining outside. You can see they even have a time limit for this, which makes this even harder. This stage is hard, okay? This stage is no joke. It is hard. So, and you can die and everything else. The graphics for you dying is pretty cool too. So, which is actually really nice that they added graphics. They had graphics in the old games of when you die, you float, you fly, or there's different effects for the character if you die. But also they added an added special bonus to where you can play with Coco. So if you don't want to play with Crash, you can play with Coco on these stages, which is actually really cool. So, but let's get out of number one. Number one, there is one stage that is hard, but the graphics are pretty nice. It's called, I don't think it's, but let me show you the other graphics for the other two games. So here's Crash Bandicoot 2. Steel Cortex Strikes Back. You got something to say? Say! So, like, you can go do, like, the pits. Like this stage here. It's actually pretty darn cool. The pits. The graphics and everything, the music, They did everything. They just refreshed it all from the old one. I wish a lot of the old PlayStation games get a remake. So like Xenogears, oh, that would be awesome if they did a remake for that one. If someone picked it up, this still looks like the first one, but you can tell there's a little bit more added on to the turtle shell now. There's a little bit more. So this looks just like the first one, but you can see where Cortex added robots and everything else to his things. And you can see that I just died for no reason at all, but... Alright, we're going to quit this one and I'll show you another one. We're going to go to Hang 8 and see. Bum, 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 ba-dum. And they also give you hints. That scene, that part, you can see, okay, look, you can see with the water, it's very high detail, it looks like water. The graphics for the game look good. You can see where the fish looks animated, it looks like an angular fish, but with like a robot though. Got the plants that look like plants. Got everything, even his little ride here looks awesome in Crash Bandicoot 2. Everything, they upped everything. They upped the ante, they upped the graphics by comparison from what it is from number one, but from the old days of the PlayStation system, which is actually really cool. And the graphics look pretty darn good. So they even, so there's the hippos. They look like actual hippos, which is pretty darn cool. That's really amazing. These levels are kind of short. There's certain levels that are short and stuff, but now you see what I mean by graphic wise of what the graphics is and everything. So, and I still drown. So there you go. This is what number 2 looks like. I'm going to show you number 3, and then we're going to move on. I like the fact that you can switch between all 3 games simultaneously, no problem whatsoever. And there's like 30, 20 stages for each of these. So you got like 50 stages or more to go through. And you got replayability on all of them, so that doubles. And then you got more replayability. So you can see right here, this is one of the stages here. It's one of the secret stages, but you can see that the graphics, they did a really good job for the cityscape, for the city stages. I wanted to show you was this stage here. This is what I mean by they did a really good job. And then once I show you guys this, I'm going to start talking about gameplay mechanics. I'm not going to show you what they are in the other 2 because number 3 has the most. Now, they added in shadows, they added in the flowers, they added all the colors. You can see the background. You can see how far the draw distance is in the background back there. You can see very well. You can see the goat back there. You can see everything in this one solid image of a photo. You can see how detailed this looks. So like stuff you couldn't do before, now you can actually do or walk on because you couldn't tell by the graphics. But that is the graphics. So let's talk about the gameplay mechanics for the game. The graphics, I'd actually, let me give it a rate. I give it a 8 out of 8 for the graphics. Gameplay mechanics. Storyline, I'll give that a 2 out of 8 because it's just point A, point B, beat the bad guy. That's not too much at the end. That's basically all it is. And you fight his henchmen. You fight all his henchmen and then get to the end. So now let's talk about, besides gameplay mechanics, we're going to talk about more about gameplay mechanics. So your gameplay mechanics is you pick up Wampa Fruit and Wumpa Fruit gives you guys. You got to get 99 Wumpa Fruits and you level up. So certain boxes give out certain things. So these Wumpa boxes give you like 5 or 10. These give you 3 apiece, and it's only like a 5 bounce thing. If I might, let me check to be sure how many of these bounce for. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, so it's 5. So it's either 5 threes and stuff like that. You also got the time trial. It vanished on me because I went too far. And other cool gameplay mechanics that are in this game is you have they each have their own special moves. And number 1, you don't get any special moves. You didn't in Crash Bandicoot 1, you got to go through all the stages with no power-ups, nothing. In Crash Bandicoot 2, they do allow you to crouch. They allow you to do a crouch and high jump, and then they also gave you the belly flop. So that's also in the game for Crash Bandicoot 2, but they give you the running shoes, but you have spoilers. You have to beat the game to get the running shoes. What the running shoes do allows you to do those time trials that you wanted to do before, but you wanted to get a faster time now. You can get a faster time because you have the running shoes. It's just on certain stages, the running shoes will not go in effect because it's just not going to happen. Gameplay wise, game is very fun. It's besides the mechanics, you got the normal jump mechanics. In this game here, Crash Bandicoot 3, you get 5 power-ups. You have the first power-up is the butt slam or body slam. It's where you can't do it with the double jump, but you can do it just the normal jump. It brings you up and slams you down. That's the first power-up. You can already do it, but the powered-up version is just the powered-up version. Second one is you get the double jump. That's your second power-up. It's the double jump. So you couldn't get the high places. Now you can double jump. Sometimes this double jump don't work often, what kind of sucks. For the third power-up, you do have this. It's a little thing you can do to help get across gaps or glide. He could literally fly, which is actually pretty cool. The fourth power-up is the bazooka. And once you get the bazooka, this is basically can kill anything and everything. And then the final power-up is the running shoes, as always. The running shoes are always the running shoes. So you can do time trials and everything else. But the gameplay in this game here, I collected all the gems for the first one. I collected all the gems and the crystals in the second one. But in the third one, I collected all the crystals. I'm missing 2 gems because if you want to get all the gems, you have to get all the time relics. And you need to beat the whole game to get all the time relics because you have to run through all the stages and get at least a higher or better to do that. So it takes time. This game does take time. It took me time. But it does get very repetitive over and over again because you're doing some stages are the same, but mostly they do change up the style of the stages. Like this stage here, you play with Coco and you're like on a water board, so they do change that up. Also, they added in, instead of doing the polar bear ride, you do Coco's tiger ride instead. And they have a little Chinese theme with it, like you're on the Great Wall of China. You do the motorcycle levels in this game. I really don't like them because of the steering mechanic. It is so hard to steer. It's unbelievably hard to steer in this game. It is hard to do that with the motorcycle mechanic. They got Egyptian stages, they got Arabian Night stages, but the only ones that be like this one, it's with Coco, and you can still see it's like in a European, still looks like in a Chinese area for a stage. So it's more like that place there. They got futuristic stages. So every gameplay mechanic in this game is usually different. Everything runs differently. Each stage has its own flaws and stuff, monsters, mechanics that you gotta watch out for. Once you hit a certain amount of time relics, you do get bonus stages that are in the game. The first one didn't really have that many bonus stages at all. Number two, you have secret stages also in Crash Bandicoot 2, but you have to find them. On certain stages, they have secret things to you so you can unlock the gems. So to get certain gems, you have to go to the secret to get those gems. So that what makes this game even more longer because you got to go through and get through certain parts to get to there. So if you want to play these stages, they got secret stages, but you need relics. You need at least 25 relics to play all 30 of these. So basically, you got to run through every single stage and get all the relics, and then after that, boom. And each game has 3 endings, at least 1 or 2 or 3 multiple endings, so which is actually really nice. So you get to go and do that. But once you're done with the game and you want to have fun with your friends or family, you can. That's what you can do with this game. So there's multiple things you can do. There's stuff in the background there that shows how the characters and the stuff like that is made and everything. But if you really do like this in-depth review of Crash Bandicoot N-Sane Trilogy, I say get it. I give it a 7 out of 8. It's still kind of repetitive, but after a while, it was kind of easy. Some stages were extremely hard. Some stages didn't take long. The only stage that took a long time was the Stormy Silence on Crash Bandicoot 1. That took me like 4 or 5 hours to beat. That was hard. The High Road on Crash Bandicoot 1, they say that's extremely hard also, but that stage is not that hard also. It's not hard whatsoever because you can just run on the side of the ropes. Let me show you what I mean on the High Road. Most people think it's hard, where you can just literally run through on the side of the rope. So that's the cool part. You can just jump in and jump out of any one you want to do. And it saves, it has auto saves. It didn't have an auto save feature in the first one, which I did enjoy the normal feature of save here, save there, and stuff like that. So in this one, you got the Stormy Ascent. I already did a little playthrough of it, but I'm not going through that entire thing. That stage is hard, it's tough, it's long. It's not a short stage. And you do not have any of the power-ups either. So that makes that stage even more longer and harder because you have to do your precise jumps correctly. If not, you're going to mess up. Certain other stages are super easy. So the High Road is supposed to be one of the hardest stages in the game, but there's a way to get around it. I'm about to show it to you. So they give you guys right ahead here. You can just see what I just did there and just run across the rope. That's basically what you can do. If you want to do it to be like time and then just do this. They'd be like, where's the fun in that? But it makes the stage easier. Most people don't know you can run on the darn ropes to make the stage a whole lot easier for you. And with that, it makes the stage a whole lot easier. You're not gonna die as much. You're just gonna be able to beat this stage. Because it is the high road. The high road can be very hard. And see, I still died, but I literally was near the end of the stage already. So it all depends on what you have to do to play the game. You can play the game normal, hard, or easy. You just gotta figure it out for yourself. So if you enjoy watching this video of my Crash Bandicoot N-Sane Trilogy, if you enjoy watching this and you want to see more, subscribe to my channel, like my videos, comment, say something. I want people to say hello and say what's up or whatever. But if you really want to see more reviews like these, they will be coming in the near future. So besides this review will be on my Patreon page also. But yeah, mostly just Patreon. Yeah, it's just more Patreon and everything else. So I would like to say thank you guys for checking out my Bandicoot N-Sane Trilogy review video. And I want to say thank you to my one Patreon named Daniel. Thank you for being a patron. Shout out to you, man, always. So if you want to see more videos like these, come check me out. And I will see you guys in the next video.